Yes, we are live now.
So, करें start.
Sure.
यार audience तो आने दो.
Yeah, I
नहीं,
can understand that, man. Not a problem.
watching it.
Uh-huh.
So, hello everyone. कैसे हैं आप सब? We are back with another session. So, I am Raghav from core team of AR Club. As we always say, being in a tier 3 college, we always felt lack of technical knowledge and growth. So, थोड़ा सा AR Club का वो promotion भी तो होना चाहिए ना? So, AR Club organizes events, hackathons with industry experts to boost student learning and reward them with swags and prizes. So, thank you so much for showering your love and support in our previous sessions. We are a strong 1500 plus family now. In our community, so जो आज का basic topic है हमारे पास, in our community, a lot of people do not know about AWS and how it works. To educate and aware them with the new technology and how they can start their AWS career. Today we are here with Mr. Vishwas Narayan with session Getting Started with AWS. He is a community manager at Devtron, software engineer, and of course an AWS expert. I hope this session will add value to your upskilling journey. No, now, I would like to hand over the virtual stage to Mr. Vishwas Narayan. Vishwas, now you can continue.
All right. So, hey, folks, I'm a community evangelist at Devtron. So that means like I talk technology, I make videos on technology, I preach technology, I deliver sessions on technology, and I educate on technology. So that's my everyday job. I go out there, figure out, okay, this is supposed to be something that I need to be working on, and I do a lot of work. So I think it's time for me to turn on my screen on, and I hope my slides are visible to you right now. I hope all right, my slides are visible to everybody. That's absolutely great.
Yeah, it's clear.
So perfect then. So a brief about me. I'm a podcaster. So I love talking to techies. I'm a bibliophile. That means I read a lot of books, which is technology. And I think my recent book is Shoe Dog. I just love this book. I just love this book. It's the best thing that can be read. So I think I do a lot of system design and other content as well. So you can just check that out on my YouTube channel. And also there is a lot that I have been doing. So you guys can check me out there in any social media platforms. Passionate about image data set. Yes, I love computer vision. I love, breathe, eat, sleep computer vision. That's how obsessed I am with that subject. So now exploring Azure Cloud, AWS, and things like that. So basically I'm a community dude from downtown. That means I love communities. I just love going to the places. I just love going to the depth of technology, where it's evolving, what it's happening, and things like that. So that's my everyday job. I think I have 7k plus subscribe followers, so don't worry about it. So let me just talk to what happened. So if you have a dad who is a software engineer right now today, if he's a software engineer, probably has seen what bare metal servers was. Like it's exactly the laptop that you're using right now. Like it's basically the laptop, and to just communicate inside, they used to plug in a LAN cable or an Ethernet cable, which just look like this. Ethernet cable. It just looks like this, but there were Cat 6 and all these kind of cables that are coming up. So don't worry about it. But these are a kind of cable that they used to just rig up, and everything happened because of that. And later on, what we did was we took the same concept of computers, and we told to ourselves, why not we go ahead and figure out how to make sure that everything that is working on my computer, that is on my computer, work the same way as it's working in any of the applications that I'm speaking right now today. Like let's say as easy as it looks, it doesn't look as easy as it is right now, right? you know if you can consider the concept of an uh, computer being partitioned out into smaller chunks over a course of time. Earlier, the business logic ran on huge machines. Now they run on a very small, compact machines that make a lot of sense today. So even if you look at all these kind of subjects which are coming up in the market, it's just about optimizing compute. And even if you go ahead with the Kubernetes concept, we talk a lot about uh, other things. So let's figure out that. And I think I just have to receive one call, and I'll just come back to you. I think Raghav, just hold
Yeah.
on for a second.
Yeah, sure, sure. So guys, our speaker will back in a while. तब तक अगर किसी को कुछ बोलना है, कोई कमेंट्स या कोई स्पेशल रिव्यू, तो ही और शी कैन पोस्ट इन द कमेंट्स. और हाँ, आई आई विल मैं बता देता हूँ आप सब लोगों को कि यू हैव टू आस्क, पोस्ट योर क्वेश्चन इन कमेंट्स ओनली. We'll answer it one by one, but please don't rush here. One by one, we'll answer the questions. So, any doubts? किसी को कोई कमेंट नहीं देना है, क्वेरी कुछ भी, कुछ बोलना चाहता हो? Anyone wants to say something? अच्छा, please give thumbs up who knows about AR community, that what we do, who we are. यार बोलो कुछ ऐसे. This is not nice. So, आप में से how many of you who knows about cloud? कितने लोग यहाँ पे ऐसे हैं जिसको क्लाउड के बारे में पता है, या मैं ऐसा कह सकता हूँ कि जिनको क्लाउड के बारे में पता है? या यस हिमांशु, सर्टिफिकेट विल बी प्रोवाइडेड इन 1 to 2 days आफ्टर द सेशन. नो वरीज अबाउट दैट. सो हाँ, आई वाज आस्किंग कि हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो अबाउट क्लाउड एंड एआर के बारे में, मतलब आर कम्युनिटी, हमारी कम्युनिटी के बारे में किसको क्या पता है? इफ यू वांट टू आंसर. या दीपक, what do you know about
All right,
cloud?
I just had went to take some goodies for you folks itself, so not a problem.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, folks. So I
Vishwas,
think don't worry.
we are having some people that already know about cloud. So I was asking just कि किनको cloud के बारे में पता है and all the stuff.
Don't worry, folks. Even if you know cloud, trust me. Every single day is a new learning for you. So that doesn't matter at all. Okay, don't worry. No, I know about cloud. That's absolutely fine, my friend. All right. So when you consider all these factors that I'm talking about, they used to connect with Ethernet cable and things like that. Everything used to be talked about in terms of, can we optimize the software to the core? Can we optimize the software to the last bit of it? That means I spend $100. Can I make $1,000 using that same $100 if my spending is? So the challenge has always been about optimizing the compute. That is where the fast, the STRAS strategies always comes in. Fast is nothing but functions as a service, and there is always a PaaS services that are like platform as a service. That means you literally go ahead, make sure the software is already available, and you configure it accordingly. But all these things have their own agenda to be solved. That means it's all about delivering faster, business logic made easier, and things like that. So that is where Docker, Kubernetes, all these things comes into the picture. But we learned the best part about it. We learned how to DevOpsify the virtual machine. That means all these time it was just manifest. That means anything that is built using a software going out there and getting delivered as quick as possible. But now once we learned how to DevOpsify all the process on the virtual machine, we try to DevOpsify it everywhere. So to be a simple fact, to be very frank with you, let's go to DevTron's documentation. And I type in blob because I just wanted to say that. But let's say you want to actually install anything on devtron. Right now you have to configure a lot of things, right? You have to configure many things about virtual cpus. Okay, this is how the dashboard is and things like that. Everything is coming into the picture. So now let's go ahead and type in the blob storage here. So why I'm saying you the basic understanding is because most of the time we think, okay, it's just cloud, I can do everything, but the challenge is always there. So if I want to install one of my platform which is open source right now, you still have to go back and listen to most of the services that are day to day. Like you have to go back and look back at, okay, this is what is happening with my entire services. I need to store all the services here. I need to store everything. So what we are doing is we are still using the cloud through an access point. That means if you can see here, it's account key, storage account provider. I'm just having some sort of a storage name. What is the logs it's connecting? But you're still going ahead and accessing through one key. That's the accessibility that a cloud service provides today. That means for sure that nothing gets stored in our platform for more than 40 minutes. So there is obviously a solution that we obviously deliver for you. So this is how you can take one concept and deliver it into hundreds of things. So that is what I was talking about. So once we learned how to DevOpsify it, we learned how to put the process into every little feature that we are talking about today. So in the meanwhile, let me just not talk about Azure itself. So it's just one Azure infrastructure that I'm talking here. It's as good as similar to AWS as well. So even if you go for AWS architecture, so this is where you always feel that what, it's Fargate, Lambda, DynamoDB, everything is being talked, but I am not getting what it is. There's still compute in the back end. They're still making sure that everything is being accessed right now, and everything that I'm talking to you right away is getting stored on a computer right now. So any architecture diagram, any service, it's still computers at the end of the day. So that is where we call it as cloud computers. So in a meanwhile, there are obviously a cross-cloud version of it. Let's say here there is AWS, here there's GCP, and you're very fond of Azure, but you really want everything to be seen through Azure rather than GCP or AWS. So what you do is you do a cross-cloud. So today, that's a new trend that we have right now today. So, as a matter of fact, just let's forget everything around here and let's just talk about the things which we need to start working towards. So anything that is related to your cloud computer is still the same. So everything that I'm talking right now is still the same. Everything that I'm talking right now about anything computers are still the same. That means nothing is changing right now. So as a matter of fact, it's the same. So let's not bore you about it. Let's just go and just jump onto the main concept that is required. That is infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service. There is something called as functions as a service. So in a meanwhile, when you talk about all these aspects that I'm just trying to cover here, it's all
But
services
you are
that are
not
taken
audible.
care. So now if you think about anything as a service, okay, I just got it right away. So even if you think about anything as a service right now, it's just getting optimized as a compute. So I'm just talking about wasted compute, hosted OS, and application. So you can think about it. So once we were using an entire service, let's say my business logic doesn't require that much amount of computer, that means it doesn't have anything to be done. And I'm still paying for it. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of resources. So that is where virtual machines came in. So whatever I talked here is just being appreciated through these concepts that I'm being told. So if you just talk about containers became this smallest form factor of entire machine that you're just going to put inside and service. So right now, if you think everything about your application, everything related to binaries are completely running in a small chunk of compute, and there's obviously a controller and host, a daemon. All these concepts will obviously come back to you once we just go back there. But all these things are running step by step, and they're making sure that everything is working fine. And now, if you just look at it, so a server as an host OS that is required for making sure the server is getting access, above which you are accessing one more layer of and compute software, above which you are running all the application. And that addition of one more layer really gave you that much amount of space. So think about it. So you have to rethink what has to be done. Meanwhile, when I'm just talking about functions, it's still the same old concept of VMs that are being accessed in a different fashion. But today, in a function, it's a very simple concept. You just go ahead and figure out what needs to be running, and you're sorted. So let's say I want to run a click of a mouse to trigger an functionality. Let's say as good as it's saying that in my application it's going to run as many applications as quick as possible. Let's say something as good as this. So I go to one place and I say to the application that, you know what, you are running everything according to my requirement, and I'm only paying for that requirement being solved. So what you do is you write a set of code, write a set of logic, and you deliver it to the cloud service provider. What he does is very simple. He just goes and accesses it, and he runs that accordingly, and he charges you accordingly. So, as a matter of fact, you buy a very small chunk of compute and you buy a very small chunk of compute resources, but you are still overutilizing many of the stuff that is not getting used. That means you can still throw it out on a machine learning system and you can just uh, get some machine learning applications as well. So in a similar fashion, don't get too worried about all the concepts that I am talking here, or else somebody might talk to you about it tomorrow. Simple as that. Git, Vagrant, Terraform, GitHub Actions is one of the things. But even if you think about one of our applications that we're coming up here, and see how we just create a chat and things like that. So even if you think of all these applications, we are still initializing something or the other. So so in a similar fashion, like why I'm just giving our open source project as one of the instances, because it's being used by many other people, and we are literally amazed by the fact that so much of appreciation is coming up in the market. So much of appreciation is already being received by us because we are putting in so much of efforts in educating you folks as well. So what's happening here is it's just pattern. It's Vagrant in it, Terraform initialization, also Git in it if you are using GitHub or something like that. So you can just correlate. It's just software that is being evolved over a course of time. So that's the whole point about it. So, very simple. Let's start from the scratch. Let's not overcomplicate anything. So, there's obviously a Docker tutorial files I have written, which is already a kind of kind of an old one, but it's still making a lot of impact because Docker is still the same thing. Docker has not yet changed because it took me a lot of work. It took me a lot of work to be delivered. But if you just go here and start learning about it, it's all about that thing. So let me not bore you with all the basic concepts, then let me just go for it. So reactor file. I just go to this folder which has all my things. So right now, every person's wish is simple. They want everything to be working as smooth as butter, right? Everybody wants everything to be working as smooth as butter. So what they do is I click on index.html, it has to open the same way in my system. That is the whole goal about a cloud computing coming into the picture. That means I'll throw everything on a computer just by accessing something as an IP. You should give me that. What is an IP? Very simple. Let me just go to terminal and I say ping google.com. Don't get bored, don't feel illogical, but this is all required when I'm just saying about. So why I'm going through all this is because moment I copy the IP and I paste it here, it goes to google.com. If you can see that it just went to the google.com and it didn't go anywhere else, because that's a computer that is defining it, and now you're accessing it as something as www.vishwasnarayan.com or something like that. So this is the whole goal about computing is always about optimization rather than just making it something irrelevant. Why should I need it, or why should I not pay it? Why should I pay it? That's a discussion, but basic concept, if you understand, and you'll start appreciating it. So think about it. I just wanted to run all these things and I'm like, okay, fine, I just have it. So there is always a concept of DevOps that we always go through, and we obviously go through a lot of other things. So I think I'll just put everything in the private chat so that you guys can just go and copy that onto the comment so that everybody can start working towards it. So what's happening here is very simple. I'm just taking one client, that means that is running on my computer, and I'm making sure that computer is running everywhere else. So what we do, similar concept of containers. So what's happening here is a server, that's my computer, and host OS, that's Mac OS according to me now. If you're on Windows, it's Windows, and above which you're running a Docker engine, and above which I'm packaging everything related to my application, everything related to my dependencies that is required to run my application as one library. So I'll just show you how it looks in a similar way. So you can just see here that I'm going through something called a snike.linux.com, and I'm downloading a base image. That means I'm downloading a base image and I'm saying to the world that I'm going to download this image. You can still go ahead and check out other applications as well. So what's happening here is, I defined a computer within a computer right now. That means on a Mac OS, run Linux operating system. That is what I'm saying it to my computer. So there is something called as apt-get update, apt-get upgrade, because we need every application to be up and running as smooth as silk. So we always do this. And now, if there is something called as an
Vishwas,
installation that is required, yeah,
can we got a little bit slower?
yeah, we can go ahead, not a problem. It's required
Yeah.
because
Because I feel it's just fast to understand by the audience, so we can just go little slow only.
yeah, don't worry. We'll just go. So what's happening here is very simple. You're just running an application. You're still going ahead with all the Linux commands that you're running right now. So I'm just saying to my little computer, hey, Mr. Computer, make sure that my application is available to the world. And because I need to make it available to the world, I install NGINX so that NGINX allows my little computer to interact with everything in the world. That is, if I host it on an EC2 machine, that is one of the VMs that I'm talking right now, it's still going to go and access that EC2 machine, and it's going to expose my application, which is through an index.html file that I showed to you before. And it comes out and it says, okay, Mr. Little Computer, you're up and running out for the world. You can just go and put yourself. So, as a matter of fact, every computer has 65535 ports. So I'll just show you how it works. So total number of ports in computer, it's 65535 ports, 65,535 port, out of which the only some amount of applications are allowed to access some ports in an application. That can be something as good as 80 port, which is for HTTPS, and HTTP, TCP port, which is 443 port, and things like that. So what I'm doing is, I'm saying my little computer is going to only expose port number 80 to the world, and it's going to run. And this happens to be the command that helps my little computer to fetch the daemon or the process to be run on the application. So this is how it simply is. So very simple. Let's not complicate that much. Let me just go here, and I type in cd reactor, and I do ls. You still can find all the applications which are here. So what I do is very simple. Docker build -t. I say this command because whatever I explained to a Docker and container and everything, it's just a matter of fact a Linux command which is just evolving right now in front of you. I'll say you how it is. So in my computer, there's a Mac OS, and I'm just doing everything from scratch, right? I just type something called as Docker. It goes and says, what Docker is this and that. So as a matter of fact, what my computer is also having is a layer of compute abstraction that is Docker, and it's running on my computer right now. So very simple. What it's just doing is it's taking the concept of Linux, which is containerization, and it's converting it into a simple commands known as Docker. Simple as that. So simple as that. The concept existed in 1970s or 80s, but it looks more clear today. So let me just do Docker, and you can see a set of commands which say stop, build, pause, remove, restart, rename, everything that I'm talking about here is just happening right now in front of me. So very simple. What I say is, hey, Mr. Computer, can you build a little computer out there for me? So Docker build minus p is the command which I use for tagging that little computer and saying that, you know what, my little computer is going to be named Vishwas Narayan. Slash is something that is going to define later on, but you can still go ahead and say Vishwas Narayan right now for right now. And I say dot. I say dot, it's because I'm saying to my big computer that, you know what, let's not complicate anything and everything that we are already working. We are supposed to make our lives much more easier and faster. So what we do is I use the definition that is given by a Docker file. Whatever I showed you here, right? With respect to all that text file that is containing what is my base OS, I'm saying my little computer is going to run Linux, and it's going to run all these commands once this Linux system comes and sits on that baby computer. And that baby computer later on has to be working in such a way that it exposes the application, the index.html, to the world out there. So what it does is it builds the application for me. So the matter of fact, I had removed all the things. I just wanted to go bare metal. That is my entire Mac OS system to do all this process so that you will understand, okay, this is what is happening in the world today, and this is where I need to go. So what's happening here is very simple. I'll give you a simple understanding here. So what's happening here is Docker is a file system right now. That means everything that you're seeing on my OS, the terminal is a file system. That means there is some software that is running behind. My ls command is a file system. I'll show you that inside as well. So what's happening here is everything is a file system and everything is running as quick as possible. So what's happening here is it's pulling the image from a Docker container which is already hosted there, and it's putting it onto my little computer so that my little computer need not have to do a lot of work. So this is the definition that is being done. So upgrades are happening right now. So all the things that I was talking here is just happening right now. So it's fetching all the binaries, file system, and things like that. So now it's getting ready to make sure the computer is getting exposed to the different devices. That means I do Docker run command. Right now, it will start pushing the application out for the world for me. So I'll show you that as well. So let it complete. Until then, if you guys have any other queries and questions, so please do give it to us. So I'll just be able to do that right away for you. Like if you have any doubts, queries,
Vishwas,
question.
Shubham is saying that please tell a little bit slower.
Sure, sure. Little bit slower.
Yeah.
All right, not a problem.
Hello everyone.
Hello, all. I think okay. So, in a matter of fact, what happens is very simple. Everything just got built up. Okay. What's happening here is very simple. So, my baby computer now has an OS on the system now. It's running an update and upgrade, and now it's saying that, you know what, this nginx that I installed right now is going to make sure the application is up and running for me outside. So this copy command here that I'm just showing to you right now, what it's just doing is it's taking the system file right now from my computer, that is from index.html, from this folder, and it's trying to put it inside the baby computer that we just had. And now what's happening here is very simple. Everything is getting updated, it's up and running for me right now. So what I do is I do Docker images. It says to me that, it there's a computer that is getting defined right now. So there is already some extensions that I had. So now he started building it very simple. What's There are other applications that I've already had, so don't worry about it. So chillax. So what's happening here is very simple. I do Docker run -t. That means I'm saying Docker. That is a compute engine that is getting defined on my computer that right now. Just go and run one more computer for me. So get ready to run one more computer. And it should be in a detached mode. Like when you saw me building a building an image or a building an baby computer which is going to define what is going to happen. So now what's happening here is very simple. I'm saying that the baby computer needs to start running in a detached mode. That means anything that's working on that baby computer should not appear on my main computer. That means my main terminal console right now. Minus P is something I'm saying to that command that you know what, if I turn down the computer which is running, let's say now it's turned down, that means nothing is accessible from this computer to that computer. So what I'm saying is toggle it. Minus T is used for toggling it. So I think I'll just do Control C so that everybody can see everything. So Docker run minus T minus P is something like I'm saying you will access a port at any cost. So even if I turn down the computer from here, make sure that you're up and running every time for me. And I'm saying to my port, my baby computer, that you're going to access 80 port from this computer. That's my current computer, the Mac OS. And I'm using one more 80 port that is from the baby computer that is getting exposed. That is what the communication is happening. The communication between this computer's 80th port and that computer's 80 port, that baby computer's 80th port is happening. So I say Vishwas Narayan and I press enter right now. It says to me that you know what, it's a baby computer, it's running right now, and it's basically M1, that is Mac OS, which is running on an M1, and it might not be compatible. But let's just go here and run it. You know what, I didn't have my screen. Can you get my screen up?
Yeah,
Sure, sure. You can you get my screen up? Yeah, yeah.
your voice is not clear. I'm didn't getting you.
Can you not hear me? Screen is not shared. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I got it.
So it's localhost and 80. I just type in 80. It's not working. Wow. Why? It's because this application is not running for me. So it's very simple to debug as well. So what you have to just do is not a specified platform, but it's just running for me right now. So that's absolutely fine. Just go to the Docker here. I need the Docker to be open. So what I do is I just click on this and I say to my application, where are the images? And it's saying it's AMD version 2 and it's in use. That means it's the status of the image. And let me just do one thing. Docker run minus t 80 each to 80. And I type in this container image because this would make a lot of sense rather than just going out there. So I just go out and run this container. So it's very simple. It just runs for me right now. So I type in localhost and EP. Now see the magic. You know, it just came right away for me. So this is how once you want to build any computer, a baby computer is now just started running for me right now. So in a matter of fact, this process is to be automated. Say, you know what? Create me as many baby computers as I want. Reactor file. This is the repository. You guys can go and check that out as well. And you guys can go and okay, these are some friend requests and things like that. So what is happening here is I'm just pushing in some code. and it's working for me. You can even see that I'm still working on some Azure boards. That means the Scrum Mastery. So if you just go here, Azure boards is here. So there is a board push pull happening at every given point of time. That means I was still doing one, I have done with two. So that's how it is. So what's happening here is very simple. So
Guys, I
whatever
have
I did,
posted the links in comments so you get access from there.
yeah, that would be perfect. That would be perfect. So what's happening here is you can see that there is an option called as GitHub slash workflow. This is something that we use for scanning the entire repository. So that is of no use right now, but you can still go ahead and run it. But let me just go and look back at it. So what's happening here is I do something called as Docker push minus minus help. You can see that there is an option for me to tag all, quietly push it, and things like that. So I do something called as Docker push, and I say Vishwas Narayan. Okay, this is a reactor file. Sorry for that. So there is nothing called as an container which is there, so I need not have to push it. So I'll show you how it is. So I do something called as Vishwas Narayan slash Vishwas. So it's just pushing right now. So that means it's already saying that you know what, there is already existing image named Vishwas Narayan slash Vishwas, and you can still go ahead and do any much amount of work. And like let's say let's say you want to push something which is already changed, you can still go ahead and do that. So that's how it is. So so this doesn't happen that way. So what I'll just show you is very simple. You have to do something called as authentication and authorization. That means the moment I have created a baby computer and hit going to the world doesn't happen just like that. There can be hundreds of resources which is not getting used, and hundreds of resources which is not being utilized in a very good fashion. So what you have to do is you have to authorize to Docker and say that you know what, I'm going to push as many applications and I'm going to have all these things. So in a meanwhile, it's not that easy as well because there are other checks which are happening. Let's say from Debian unstable Slim, there are some issues that are already there. What's happening? What's the CVE that is getting raised? That means what's happening with this entire application that I've built right now. So is it safe to push? Is it not safe to push? I need to say that as well. So these are all the commands that are already running in the backend so that it's just checking all the binaries and the things like that. So you can see that all these applications have these kind of vulnerabilities, and we are supposed to go ahead and fix those as well as a software engineer. But you can still go ahead and push that as well. So that's not a problem. So I'm authorizing and authenticating it. So it's very simple. I do Docker login. So it says that I've already logged in and things like that, but you can still go ahead and do something called as Docker login minus u. If you can say Vishwas Narayan, and guess what? It asks for a password. So in a similar fashion, you don't have to worry about it. Just go to the Chrome and say Docker Hub. You will just go to the sign in portal. Just sign in. For this, you should know your credentials, by the way, and go to the account settings. You go to the security, you create an access token. And this is an access token, which was your club demo. And I'm saying these are the permissions that I'll give to him. He can only read and write, not delete or anything. So he can only read the public repos. So what I am I'm a guy who is having this kind of an access. You can go and copy it. Don't worry, I'll just delete it right after the session. So what you have to do is paste it here, and there you have it. You just authenticated yourself in such a way that you are accessing every application that is there in the Docker. So logging in with your password grants for your terminal is completed. So there are obviously a lot of things that is going on. So don't worry about it. It's just a simple step that you are just doing right now. So as a matter of fact, you don't have to worry about anything. You can still go and do your security practices right now, and type in help. You see the magic here. It's saying that there is an option, there's a file sharing, everything that is coming here, token string, whatever it is. So what I have to do is Docker scan Vishwas Narayan slash Vishwas. Okay, there is nothing called as this command is being taken. So what I do is I just say, you know what, just scan all the files here. So this is where you can just start your complete journey of scanning. So I didn't know the command. What I have to do, I have to just go here and I say, you know what, Docker scan has to happen. What should happen? So I say accepted license, everything, and I say Docker scan hello world. It should start working right now. Or else if the application is not there, it will just say to me, you know what, it's not there for me. So just see the magic. It's a tested application, so it's already up and running for me. But there's always a chance that this can be depreciated, so you just have to just look for it and things like that. But since I had all my scans which are done through an plugin called as Snike extension, it just works for me. Simple as that. Let me just go to the latest image and just scan it. It's now happening for me. So this, my friends, whatever I'm saying it to you is happening in the industry right now. So everybody, every single day is looking for, am I vulnerable? Am I not enough to push the code into the production? That is what is happening. So let me just not go through a lot, and let me just go through the AWS console so that you just get to know everything. So since I have so much of credits, so I'll just go and type something called as AWS Amplify. You will start learning everything about Amplify the right moment you start entering here. So you can see that it's all different application, Flutter application, and everything. So you can just push the code from any place and things like that, log in, whatnot. So let's just start with worrying about it. Build an app or host an app is something that I will just do. I will say deploy with the Git provider is also there. AWS code commit is also there. I can say GitHub is also an source of truth for me, and I'm authorizing it. And see the magic. Because I had an access to a cloud, because I had an access to a computer right now, it's now giving me every repository access. Simple as that. I just type in the password. Okay, don't worry. Hey, I forgot the password. That's also fine. I'll just do it right away in front of you, so that's not a problem. I wanted to show the demo in front of you. Pick one square that shows two identical objects. Yes, pick one square that shows two identical objects, and yes, I am a human being. Send the password reset. Very simple as that. I just go here and I check that out and see the magic. You know, since I was accessing the cloud, I have everything right now. And I can reset the password right now, and I can say Vishwas, and there you have it, my friends. I just changed the password and things like that, and I am here and retry sign in. That's absolutely fine. Okay, I just need to go again, and I have to do that, so not a problem right now. So I'll just sign in with my console, and I say AWS Amplify. Yes, I just checked it out right now, and I say GitHub. Let's authenticate it. And there you have it. It just is going to authenticate me, all the repositories, and the token is set. I think so right now. Yes, the GitHub is already up and running. Okay, sorry for that. So unable to proceed, repository not selected. Right read, all repositories save, and there we have it. Okay, that is not a problem. Right read, right, danger zone, suspend your installation, uninstall name, not a problem. Amplify. So what I'll do is very simple. We'll just go right now and we'll just deploy one application right now. So I just sign in right now because it's 1 day sign in. Of course, it's already available for me. Simple as that. Don't worry. Just click on GitHub. It's obviously there. It's gave me some set of applications. So it will obviously take some time to read, write the applications. So we'll just have it. Until then, if you guys have any questions, please do ask me right now because this process
Yeah,
will
guys, you
obviously take
can
some time.
ask your questions in the comments.
So I just told which branch also to be done. So that is also there. So just see the magic. It's already up and running for me. Automatically deploy files that is hosted and save and deploy. Very simple. It's now taking all the manifests from my side. Reactor file, build image, use the default image, everything. Whatever I used to do as an application engineer right now, it's happening right to me right now. So it's obviously amplifying, it's building the application, it's deploying the application right now. So it's saying me this is how the repository looks like and things like that. And that's what backend environment is already set for me. Everything is already there for me. So you can see that, right? First successful build of reactor file, your build process is in action. That means it's just taking the repository and building it right away here and add a custom SSL certificate. Yes, because when you see this entire thing as a lock, this is an SSL certificate to you right now. So think about it. Everything needs to be done. And because I have an access to a cloud, the test versions are also created. That means I want to do something as in testing. I can still go ahead and test different applications. So I can say a different branch of Circle CI and I can just rig one more application for me. So see that Circle CI project is already up for me right now. So provisioning is done. That means one of the processes might have been done and sorted. So building is happening. Deploying will obviously take place. And there you have it, my friends. It was a simple index.html application. It just came in just for you. That means the moment you start pushing the code, let's say I push something as a code in a main branch, right? I'll say I'll edit something here. So a simple trick is very simple here. What you have to do is instead of .com, just go to the .dev. This opens a VS Code console for me and see the magic. It's now opening a console for me where I can edit and do anything. All your Git push and everything. The moment you have a repository, you're sorted. So that's how it is GitHub. So let's say I want to do something as good as youtube.com/research or something like that. And let's say video and I say videos or something. Channel say attacker channel maker liya. And I say, you know what, index.html is supposed to be there. And I say index.html changed. Very simple logic is being applied here. And the push has been confirmed and everything has been taken care here. And see the magic. Everything related to your push commit and everything has been taken care. So I say index html
Vishwas,
changed.
sorry to interrupt
That
you.
also,
We are having a query.
yeah, not a problem, man. It's not a problem. It's part of sessions that we conduct. I think I need to navigate to my this one, StreamYard. Where is StreamYard? Okay, StreamYard is in my different application. So it's here. Sorry for that. Yeah. What are some of the key benefits of using AWS for business and how can companies get started with platforms? That's a great question. So very simple, the logic behind every cloud is, can I make my cloud operations lesser? Like every single day, I'll just show you how it is. So even AWS uses Nike and they use other applications. So that doesn't mean that. So you'll appreciate more when you read blogs from APN. So this is something called as AWS Partner Network. And if you just go for the blogs here, you can see that there are some use cases that have been written. I think I have some use cases from my side as well, because I was part of Build Piper, the previous company. We had some use cases. I think through Devtron we are coming up with so much of use cases as well. So what's happening here is everybody wanted to reduce the cloud operation. I'll show you one thing right here. So right now, projects manager, product owner, architects are different teams, and now they go and brainstorm to a developer, and this is never ending conversation, right? So what's happening here is there is one common language called a Scrum language, DevOps tickets, backlogs, features. So now what happens is, because these matrices are being converted in the real time right now, what's happening is everything is moving smooth. Let's say my slide share may, if you just go right now, like I'll just share you my slide share so that you guys can just figure out what is happening here. So it's very simple. You just go to the slide share here and you click on one Docker file. It just opens you something. Okay, there's one application that you rigged up and it's being deployed on the slide share, and now it's available for me. But let's say the SlideShare company was hosting an application, and I randomly pushed 100 more slides, and they say, you know what, we don't have the storage, and we have to get some more SSDs and things like that. That's a business logic. Probably they might lose me as a customer. So that is where cloud comes in. Cloud helps you in getting that elasticity. That means every time when you go out there and build out an application, you will be having different use cases. So that is where your use cases are getting solved, and use cases are made much more easier and faster than ever before. So AWS is not just a business logic, it's basically an enablement to accelerate your business rather than just going out there and figuring out this is what we are supposed to do every single day. So AWS is going to be an enabler, not your business runner. So that's how it is.
First, we are having the
Okay,
another queries.
not a problem, not a problem. What are the some of the common mistakes that developers make when they get started with AWS, and how can they avoid with these pitfalls? So very simple. I'll explain you in one simple fashion what developers make as a mistake. Somebody says Kubernetes is the best thing that you have to do, and you have to adopt to Kubernetes as quick as possible. Now, let's say you're a developer who doesn't know how to optimize a cost because you have never worked in DevOps. So what happens here is you are put in a trap in such a way that you do not go through the application of, what, let's not go to Kubernetes right away. Let's just learn something and let's move slowly. But the thing is, you're impatient for it. So being impatient is something that you make very hasty decisions. So what's happening here is, so somebody says Kubernetes is the best part of the industry, so just go to Kubernetes and your life is settled. You don't know Kubernetes, you start incurring more costs. Now you will say, why did I come to Kubernetes? So these are the common mistakes. That means getting through a trap of something known as an best resource in the market is something that every developer goes through. Let's say you have only 10 DevOps people and you are 50,000 developers out there. That doesn't make sense to look at everything on Kubernetes, everything on Docker. So what companies do is very simple. Just like how I showed how to deploy an index.html files, they use applications like Amplify. They use applications like Firecrackers if they are working on serverless aspects. So they go through that. So that is where good developers make a better decision in the cloud. So bad decisions happen when they are too energetic and they are not holding their horses to adopt to something which is more fascinating in the industry. So that is the whole mistake that is being done by a developer when they are entering the industry. I think Deepali is there. I think that's the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
question.
There is one more query, no?
Yeah, yeah. How can AWS be used to build and deploy machine learning models with some of the applications? So that's actually my previous profile question. So I'll just go through my slides and I'll just explain you right away. Not the slides. I think I'll go to the AWS console and I'll explain you right away. So now the deployment has happened, right? You can see that there is one circle.html file which is getting deployed. There's There is this application out there for me which is getting deployed. So there is videos and channels which is changed, and here I'm saying videos and channels which is also getting changed. That is perfect. But even if you see the other applications, right, this is all dependent on your main file, so that is where it is coming. So these are simple mistakes that you are doing right away in front of me only, right? Let me just show you how AWS SageMaker is coming up. So SageMaker is something that we can do for deploying and applying an application. So very simple. I'll just show you one application here. You'll really appreciate why we are talking about SageMaker. SageMaker Canvas is there. So you can go for the notebooks. That is also fine. But I'll open the notebooks and I'll show you how SageMaker is making a huge impact right now in front of you while deploying an application. Or we can go for Canvas as well. So that's not a problem. So let me just better go to the Canvas. SageMaker Canvas. You'll appreciate the fact that cloud has made much more easier and faster to deploy any applications right now. So very simple. You have to get started. You have every little role and every little concept that is being given to you. So let's say I have a data scientist. I have a description to be entered. I have a person. There's an ML ops, SageMaker compute role, data scientist or custom roles. So I give him gate maker. It's a virtual private cloud connections and blah blah blah. So let's say you are working in a pharmaceutical company and you don't want anybody to access apart from your AWS guys and the engineers within. You can enable all these applications right away in front of you. So these are simple steps that you can go through, right? So let me just go through something called a SageMaker. So there are studios and things like that, but let's go to SageMaker, and I enter Studio Lab, and you see that I don't know anything, and I'm just starting to learn everything right away in front of you right now. It's free, right? Now I just go get it started. I create a role, data scientist, something like that. Let's say description person is a data scientist, and I create next, and I say every little application you can access my AWS other services and all the things. Just imagine if you didn't have all these things and you were going out there and figuring out what has to be done, it would have made no sense. So that is where cloud deployment is coming into the picture. So matter of fact, don't worry about it. All these applications that I'm showing it to you right now is just available to you. So moment you are an ML engineer, you know how many algorithm has to be put. It makes much more easier for you to deploy an application tomorrow rather than just going out there to and saying, you know what, I'm an ML engineer who knows how to write only TensorFlow and I don't know anything apart from it. No, cloud has enabled you for that. So think about it.
Yeah,
So cloud is an enabler rather than just going out there and saying, I'm just this much only in the
yeah,
industry.
I'm doing this much only.
Yeah.
So we are
Okay.
having
I think
another question.
I think I think from next session, let's say from next session, I know people might be having something like, I know cloud, I might not sit in the basic session or things like that. Whatever I
Yeah,
just told you is just a prerequisite. Literally, I'm not even joking. The moment you go to this repository and click on any of the GitHub actions, you still go ahead and do the same thing, right? So the logic is still the same. It's still the Linux command, like let's say docker build, login to kar liya maine, login to kar liya, extracting the Docker metadata. I'm building and pushing the data, and I'm still saying, you know what, bhaiya, ye bhi push karna hai, and I'm saying all these other things. So what we are just doing is automating most of the things. So that is how it is. I think how does AWS handle security and compliance, and what measures can developers take to ensure their applications? So
I
I'll
think
have to share
audience
my
भी
screen.
ready है अच्छे अच्छे questions के साथ.
Yeah, I think they were ready
They
with
are
the.
asking just like कि आज ही पूछ लो सब कुछ दोबारा नहीं
कोई
मिलेगा.
बात नहीं, कोई बात. No, no, I will have as many questions. So what we'll do is next session we'll ask from the questions and we'll just go ahead with the demos rather than just going demos and going questions. So simple as that. I'll just share my screen. I think I've shared my screen. Just go ahead with it. So you are talking about compliance and governance, right? Let me just go and type in compliance here. Things like that. So all these applications that you're talking right now is just the tip of an iceberg. That means an ML application is just a tip of an iceberg for running a business logic. There are hundreds of things that are running in a back end, and there are hundreds of things that is running in a front end. So the most probable solution that you are just going to think about is, can somebody hack me because my machine learning model is deployed as an API and he can get an access to it and he can just go out there and hack me tomorrow. That can happen. So what's happening is AWS is having its own set of rules. That is something called as well architected framework. So the moment you go and type in something called as well architected framework, everything is getting defined and everything is just being defined in front of you. So what's happening is you just go out there and figure out, this is my application, this is the way I'm going to deploy. And if there is an anomaly experienced, let's say a developer tries to push an credential out for me, can AWS say to me, I'll show you by sharing my screen. Once I had pushed my own credential of AWS and AWS had messaged me on Gmail. I'll just show you that entire message itself. So AWS credential, the moment you type in AWS credentials, I think I'll be here. Credential action required. Yes, compromised is what it is saying, right? So just see the magic. I had put out one key on a GitHub repository that was something around Terraform. So I do a lot of Terraform as well. Okay. Okay, let me just, not in this repository. I think I have it in my different repository. Think somewhere in that push I had mentioned about Terraform repository. You can see that this is the push and this is what I'd put in my repository, right? Access key and secret key. And this account is deleted. So I think this push happened like 2021 and this account is deleted right now. And the same message was received on the same date. That is the power of cloud today. So anything that you talk about compliance, governance, and everything, it's just being there in front of you. So I, as a developer, try to push something on the cloud repository that is very crucial, and somebody can access it, and they can build their own cloud, and they can access it. And now AWS is notifying me. So that is how AWS is taking care of all the compliance and the governance. The success stories of
So
companies
we are
that
having
have,
another questions.
man, this is the best question. AWS success stories. Yes. So you can just go and check out here the case studies. The moment you click on the case studies tab, all right. I think. Did you share my screen?
Yeah, you haven't presented any screen.
I haven't. Okay, I haven't presented any screen. Sorry for that. I was excited because of that
No worries,
question.
no worries.
All right. So let's say AWS case studies. You can just go ahead and check out this AWS case studies here only. So there are a lot of success stories that have been built from AWS itself. So all these are very crucial. Like the moment you check on something as case studies, you are getting everything right now. So that's how it is. I think, folks, there is a lot of other things that we can teach. This is just a tip of an iceberg. This was just an introduction that we wanted to give. Wanted to
I've
make sure
posted
that
the
you,
links in comments. You can check out from there, folks.
yeah, like this is just a tip of an iceberg. We can take one day for completely for Docker. We can completely take one day for Amplify. We can completely take one day for Sagemaker. So don't worry about it. We'll be coming out. But this is just a set of introduction that we had for just having a session, so that you guys can figure out, okay, this is where AWS is moving towards. I think it
Cloud
was
is
a
a huge
great set
stuff.
of question and great questions, by the way.
Just the audience. This is called the AR's audience.
Yeah.
So any other queries, guys? You can post in your comments.
Don't
in the.
worry, I'll just share you my LinkedIn. Just go ahead and check that out. So we are already available for you, folks. So don't worry about that. We are already available for you. So just go ahead and figure out what has to be done. We'll be there for you. So that's how it is. So I'll be sharing my LinkedIn here, so you guys can go check my LinkedIn out there. I think that's how it is, my friends. You can check out and reach back to me. I'll give you all the things that is required to get started.
I have posted the links in the comments, guys. You can check out there. And I have also posted the Club communities link in the comments, so you can join our community also.
Sure, sure. That would be great, my friends. I think. Thank you so much, folks. Meet you soon
I
and meet
feel
you.
that there is no more queries, so
We'll end the stream.
we can end now. Yeah.
Sure, my friends. Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.